that's about rudeness, a type of gutsy belly laugh. Well, that's what I find in the contemporary British artist Sarah Lucas's work. I think she's in a sort of line or a heritage from the British artist William Hogarth, a contemporary type of satire. This photograph, one of a number of self-portraits she's constructed, shows her sitting in a type of grungy kitchen domestic interior, not really just sitting, but slouched in a really unladylike, laddish way, unmade up. And on her t-shirt look like 2 fried eggs. It's quite funny because she takes that rather horrible sexist language and white laddish British working class cultural joke about women's bodies being like vegetables or women's breasts being like fried eggs, and she literally materializes it. And by doing that, she seems to empty out all its power, take back the power from the joke, the othering stereotype. Sarah Lucas was making work in the 90s alongside artists like Damien Hirst and Gary Hume. And in fact, she said, I started to make work about female identity because I wasn't successful. And in fact, I was reading lots of feminist literature and arguing with my partner of the time, Gary Hume, because he seemed to be very successful. I think this is the interesting thing about her work because it seems to be so raw. She uses found materials like vegetables, like eggs, like melons, like bananas, and basic furniture like chairs and tables. And it seems to be nothing theoretical about it. And yet Sarah Lucas, like many artists of her generation, was very aware of feminist theory and feminist literature. She also knew about Freudian psychoanalysis. And just as Freud was interested in jokes and also as objects, as sort of symbols of repressed sexual material, this is the type of idea that Sarah Lucas draws on and puts into her work. And in fact, she actually did an exhibition staged at the Freud Museum in London. A series of work she did, sort of multiples on a theme, are these ideas of bunnies, based on the notion of Playboy bunnies. And there's sculptural work where they use a chair and then this strange, surrealist, slightly biomorphic figure constructed out of stuffed and crudely stuffed women's tights. And there's something rather abject, a bit like the fried eggs, something almost of a type of vanitas, a transient theme of this material that may be soiled from women's bodies. She takes these tights and stuffs them with wire and other material to turn them into like floppy, slightly failing limbs. This figure here, which is actually rudely clamped to keep it in place on this chair, has these pendulous forms that come over the head and shoulders, which perhaps are the bunny's ears, but also look like flailing arms. And the gusset of these tights is almost dead center in this figure, in this very explicit sexual position. Perhaps drawing on surrealist sculpture, this work very much feels like this figure has been perhaps abused or raped or is certainly vulnerable, certainly in trouble. It also has a collapsing shape, like this idea of a hysteric, which is certainly an important topic in Freud's theories. Sarah Lucas's work pretends it's not theoretical, has no intellectual sort of background, is raw and unmediated. But I think very much like Tracey Emin, who I talk about in another of these series, is a highly constructed, very calculated work that's designed to be empowering and attack the idea of the way that women are gendered and stereotyped through language. I'm Lizzie Perrotte. This is London Art Studies.